All right, let's rock and roll. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Brew with Matt and Mike. And awful performance last night from Wisconsin. Got smacked around 90-60 by Nebraska at Nebraska. Before we get into it, Mike, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, man. It's 80 plus degrees down here in Puerto Rico, so I'm chilling. I'm enjoying some time off a little bit, let my old man body recover, and getting ready for Christmas. So life is good. Other than what we watched last night,
Yeah,
it was a little bit rough. It was
let's
a
let,
little bit
let's get
rough.
into it.
Yeah. So Matt, I got a question for you. Was what went wrong, and what went wrong in the grand scheme of the game, and which end are you most concerned with right now, um, offense or defense?
Okay, everything went wrong for Wisconsin last night. I'm super concerned on both sides of the ball with how they played yesterday. But if I had to pick one, I would say the offense. I hated how they played. And I would say overall, the biggest thing that I disliked was just the effort and the energy and the selfishness, the hero ball, the amount of settling for threes. You would think that Greg Gard has the 15-16 Golden State Warriors out there. You would think Steph and Klay Thompson are coming out of that locker room. They are an average shooting team at best, and they huck up threes like they're an elite shooting team, right? They're probably shooting 33, 34, 35% on the season. And I imagine it'll be about 33, 34. They are absolutely super inconsistent, live by the three, die by the three. Nebraska loves to shoot threes too. But here's the difference between the two teams is Nebraska played the right way. All right. They cut hard. They were playing inside out. A lot of their looks were coming from hitting the cutter, cutting to the hoop, and then that cutter would dish it back out. It would come from Mast making a nice pass out of the post. It would come from a drive and a kick. And then they also had some shots that probably weren't the best of looks, but once you play the right way, it's funny how those other shots start to fall. And then you're Wisconsin and you're settling for zero pass threes in a possession, or you're settling for a step back three or a contested three. Like Rohde, as savvy and as crafty of a player as he is, I hated some of the looks he shot in the first half. He made a corner three that was super difficult with a guy right there. There was 14 seconds on the shot clock. I did not like that. Not every single three is created equal. I understand adapting and evolving to the modern game, but you still should work for quality looks. Wisconsin right now is so 3-point happy, so trigger happy. It's gonna work in some games, but then in other games they're gonna get smacked. And we've seen them get smacked 3 times now, and this was tied for the worst of the BYU game. TCU, the score was closer than it really was. I just super disappointed. That's probably the most disappointed I've been watching a Wisconsin game in many, many years. I didn't like the effort and I didn't like the selfishness. I didn't like the settling for threes. I mean, shooting 13 threes in a row in the first half, especially when they're not falling and making one field goal in like 7 minutes, it's awful. So there's a lot of concerns. And I mean, the only silver lining that we kind of talked about off camera is it's December. Nebraska's a really good team. They got a great home court, but hated how Wisconsin played.
Yeah, I can understand that. For me, it was. I have a little bit of a different view on it in terms of the offense and the defense. I'm definitely more concerned with the defense right now. I feel like the offense will kind of ebb and flow with them, and as they figure out how to deal with those type of spurts where things were a little bit more difficult in a hostile environment. This group hasn't done it as a team, right? That's one of the things with the portal and the connectivity of teams right now, and the cohesiveness of teams. They struggle in situations just like this, right? Like the Wisconsin got off to an absolutely amazing start. And the reason being is they had depth to their offense. So we're talking about that 9 minute stretch where they only shot threes. But if you watched it, it was a lot of side to side ball movement, right? The ball movement was there. It wasn't that there was bad ball movement. It was just a lot of hanging around the 3 point line, swinging at one side. There was no penetration. The ball never got to the paint. There was no depth in their offense, right? It was just solely an outside offense. Whereas in the first, 5 minutes of the game, they were hitting short rolls because Nebraska defensively was shadowing two on the ball. So they kept two high to kind of take away Blackwell and Boyd scoring. So that's where you got Belauskas with a couple of really nice flip shots around the rim, finishes there. Um, Winter had two easy dump offs where they got the ball with depth in their offense, and then all of a sudden it was just a little bit of a struggle because that 9-minute stretch where you said they shot 13 threes and a couple free throws. It was just a lot of non-productive, non-penetrating offense, and that struggled for them. But defensively, there was just nobody got turned up, right? Nobody got like, hey, I'm going to put my chest on somebody and stop them. Nobody got a tipped basketball and then all of a sudden they were really excited and hyped up, right? The big lefty from Nebraska who ended up getting his mouth bust open by Winter. I can't remember his name. It's a little bit goofy. It's definitely a foreign guy. Dude, that dude came ready to play. Like, he was ready to play on both sides, came out with a bunch of energy, bunch of emotion, and there was just none of that on the Wisconsin side. It was a lot of, hey, kind of put your head down and go. Maybe, it seems like this team overall doesn't have like a lot of, I don't know, burning desire in their emotions, right? They're a little bit more even keeled emotionally. Nobody gets up or down, but sometimes you need like a guy or two. And I thought it would maybe be Janicki, where it's just like, hey, I'm going to go get a bunch of tip balls. I'm going to go and try and raise the energy of our team. And they don't really have a guy like that right now, which is a little bit concerning for me, especially defensively, especially when you're going against a team like Nebraska. Like you said, the big fella from Nebraska is super tough, and they ran a lot of really great action with him. Hoiberg's done a great job with that team.
Yeah, and I'll just say the defense was terrible, and the defense is Swiss cheese. We just seen it in the past where they tighten up a little bit come February and March. We saw Nolan Winter, and I've said it before on this show, he was awful the week, I don't know if it was the first week of December last year against Michigan, and their two big men was getting cooked in the pick and roll. David Joplin was giving him the business for Marquette, and I was like, boy, I don't think Winter's ready for this. And he got a lot better. So I've seen historically the defense improve. But yeah, the defense yesterday was Swiss cheese. It was shit. They made Nebraska look like the 15-16 Warriors with the way they were able just to hit their cutters with ease, the way that ball was just zipping around the court. It was moving. Yeah, both sides super concerning. I guess we saw a little we saw Winter put the ball down on the floor for trying to find optimism. There was a pretty play where Winter put the ball on the floor and it looked smooth. And it's like, if he could shoot, if he shoots above 15% from three, perhaps he'll have more opportunities to do that. And also Blackwell, yeah, he looks like he's got some skill, and if they can keep him around, who knows if they can keep him around. He looks like a nice player. But yeah, it just super disappointing.
I was gonna cut you off. Oh, I was going to cut you off about Blackwell. I'm so sorry. We can get into it too. I know it's one of our points. Is how do you feel about Blackwell and Rapp right now? The two of them. Are you feeling a little bit? Obviously, the upside, we were very high on them early in the year, but now that we've seen some games and got them under their belt, how do you view the progression of those two guys right now, as well as how important it is for those guys to really step up for this team to be a more elite team?
Yeah, for Rapp, the ball has to slow down, or the game has to slow down a little bit for him when he gets the ball. It's a hot potato. Some other guys, you can just tell, have much better composure with the ball in their hands at this point in time. He's a sophomore. He's adapting to higher competition. So I would just like to see the game slow down for Rapp and then shoot better quality threes and knock them down at a higher clip. If he can just let the game slow down and hit threes at a higher clip, then I'll be happy. I thought he was just a bit more fluid than he is watching his highlights heading into the season. But he's young. Hopefully he can grow into it a little bit. And then Blackwell. Really like what I see from Blackwell. I think it was the right move to put him. It was the right move to have him at the 5. Winter's not a 5. Winter is a 4. And having Winter at the 4, Blackwell at the 5, and Blackwell being a solid body with some skill, being a 20-year-old freshman, I like it. I like what I'm seeing from Blackwell. And yeah, what about you?
For me, so I completely agree with you about Rapp. The game is a little bit fast for him, and the biggest things for him is, as teams have scouted, they really know, like, hey, he's a shooter, so they're not going to give him space, and they're overselling and selling out for him to run him off the 3-point line, and it's a little bit rough when he puts the ball on the deck. I think I've had coaches tell me I should only put the ball on the floor twice, especially in higher level professional leagues. Once you get to that third dribble, You usually get a little too deep and the decision making becomes a little more erratic. So for him, I think he should have a 2 dribble limit. If he has a pull up, be great for him to get one. I don't know if he's super comfortable in that yet, but as an elite shooter, that's something that I would recommend for him to add to his game as he gets older. And then I'm super high on Belauskas. The last 3 games, that dude's a dude. I'm gonna I know it didn't look great, and I'm just gonna let you know that dude's a dude. I know he's 20. He's a freshman, bro. The start of the game, he had a couple really nice slips out. He got out of his rolls really quick when when Nebraska was switching. Man, that 12-foot push shot, yo, that's a tough shot. And for him to smoothly and confidently shoot that, it's not just it was oh, he made it. It was no, he shot that and he knew it was going to go in. He was like, this is a shot I should shoot. And for Wisconsin to kind of keep taking these next leaps, I think as he grows, Wisconsin is going to get better because defensively he's getting better in games, especially understanding where to go, and he's being much more active. For me, I actually think Belauskas is a much more fluid athlete than Rapp is. In terms of how he moves and the size he has. So I'm super excited to see the growth of him. And we talked a little bit off camera. I would love to see if he has a little bit of post work, if there's a way we can throw it to him on the block a little bit and see what he has. So yeah, for me, I'm really, really high on Belauskas. He has just started to become more and more confident each game, right? He knocked out, he's got a really nice 3-point shot from the middle of the floor too. Wings and corners he doesn't have, but from that center, from that trail spot, he's got that. It's very specific.
The corner
yeah,
he's Marquette.
Oh, he did. Did he hit a corner 3?
Yeah, it was. I think it was his third one.
Oh, he did.
And nothing.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But the other two were from the top, right? The other 2 from the top. So he's more of a top of the key shooter, which is fine. That's where you want your bigs to be anyway. So really excited to see him. We kind of talked a little bit about silver linings. The confidence of Belauskas is something that I see as a silver lining because he's going against the big dude Mask, however you say his name, the Dutch kid, Mast, the Dutch guy. He was a tough cover, right? He's a big 24-year-old making a bunch of money in college, even though he should be playing professionally at this point. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. And speaking of making a bunch of money in college, we can transition right into that. Good job, Mike. Way to go.
Let's transition into that, but I want to just point out a few things. Yeah, the points in the paint. Nebraska got their threes up. Only shot 2 less threes than Wisconsin, but dominated the points in the paint. 44-18 points in the paint with 8 minutes left. I didn't watch the last few minutes of the game. I didn't need to watch that. And then also, I felt the need to watch some Steven Crowell highlights last night. I pulled them up. Do you guys miss him now? He got a lot of shit from the fans, but Steven Crowell was a solid big guy who can get the ball on the block, and he was solid down there. Wasn't a world beater, but he was solid. Love that little fake left jump hook. And fun fact for Wisconsin fans is I remember watching Mast at Bradley in 2023 in the NIT versus Wisconsin, and Crowell had 36 on him that year, which is insane. He had 36 in the NIT, and but yeah, I building off what you said about with Belauskas, I would love to see. I imagine he's a big body. He's 20. He's got a lot of skill. I imagine he's got something in the post. Wisconsin's never hitting the post, and I don't think Winter's there yet. He's adequate, but I would love to see them feed Belauskas in the post more. Just getting a few post touches and working out of the post. That's still a part of the game. Posting up is still a part of the game. And that would be a great thing if they can touch the paint through their big guy, just like Mast was. I honestly, there was a point where Wisconsin was hucking up all those threes and Nebraska was getting Mast the ball in the post, and I was like, just go and eat Mast. I like to see this. Gard needs to see this. He needs to see you do your thing with your old school hoops where Mast was just taking his time, using his strength, and putting the ball in the hoop or hitting his teammates, and then popping out for 3 after he's got a rhythm down low. So yes. I really would love Wisconsin to start feeding Belauskas in the post and seeing what he's got down there, because the lack of touching the post is really bothering me. But yeah, Mike, let's get into the NIL now.
So yeah, do you see or you feel like there's been a change in the style of play from guys since the college basketball is now turned into it legitimately is professional basketball. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no difference. There's just a little bit different in terms of spending and style, or spending caps, or cap limits and everything like that. So salary caps, excuse me. So do you feel like there's been a change in guys' play style, trying to get statistics, trying to go and get more NIL money? How do you feel about this right now?
Yeah, so I do believe there's a lot more hero ball in today's game, and it's a lot more about me and getting mine and my brand. And I understand where they're coming from. They want to make money. This is their livelihood, but at the same time, it makes my interest in college basketball dip significantly. I've been seeing comments about Nick Boyd. People are accusing him of being selfish, and I've seen some things here and there, but overall, I don't think it's been horrible. I like the start to the game. Both Rohde and Boyd had 2 assists before the TV timeout, and Boyd did not shoot his first field goal until I think 7 minutes into the game. I don't know if Gard said something, because in the last show we talked about how there were 2 moments against Marquette in the second half where he was absolutely selfish and did not kick it to the open shooter and tried forcing something that wasn't there in transition. So yes, there's a lot more hero ball. These kids are getting paid 7 figures, which good for them, but at the same time, it's like it's just a lot more flash, a lot more me, and less about the team. And last year at Wisconsin, with Tanjay and all the kids who were in the program for 3-4 years, Tanjay got his, but you still felt like he wanted to win. You still felt that team and that mesh and that gel. And it's early, and they can start to mesh and gel a little bit more. But there was a much different vibe, especially at this point last year with Wisconsin's team, where you knew the vibe was good, they liked each other, and this year's team, I'm not exactly seeing that right now. So yeah, I see a lot more building up my brand, and I got to get mine, and that sometimes comes at a detriment to the team.
Yeah, I think obviously as the business changes, when I was in school, we were opting for Pell Grants and trying to get an extra $1,000 every 6 months. So it's a little bit different now, and especially with guys making enough money. And we were talking a little bit about how Mast is he's 24 now. He was a senior in 2023, and we're going to go into the 2026 season. It's like, why? Like for me, when I was going through school, there was no real reason for me to stay there. I wasn't getting paid, and I wanted to go make some money. I was tired of seeing less than $1,000 in my bank account, right? So now you got guys that want to stay in school because the opportunity to make money is greater than ever. A lot of these guys are going to, unless they go play in high level competition, and I think Mask actually could probably make the EuroLeague. He might be able to make a roster. He looks like a cross between Luka Garza and Alperen Şengün, kind of both of those guys. So he could have either one of those careers. I don't think he's as big as Şengün. I think he's more Luka Garza size, which will kind of limit him a little bit. But yeah, for me, it's seeing the business model change is definitely going to change the product on the floor, right? In terms of guys are older now, so you're going to get a little bit more polished in terms of play from older teams. And then obviously, yeah, like you said, a little more hero ball, right? There's a little less, hey, fluidity, play for the name on the front instead of the name on the back, which is it's interesting for me to see, because I don't necessarily feel sad about it. I just kind of feel like this is the outcome of changing the business model. This is much closer to what I've been experiencing for the last 13 years. I've played on some really good teams, and I played on some really selfish teams. And I played on some really bad teams where it gets really selfish really quick, because your next job always depends on your statistics, basically, and your perception of other people, right? Your perception of coaches, GMs, all that stuff. So I do believe that the NIL is clearly changing the landscape and how guys play. And for me, I'm a little indifferent. I'm not I have a different perspective on it, but I can understand where, the average guys or the average fans are just like, man, it was way more fun when you played for the front of the jersey than the back.
Yeah, and also knowing who's on your team and knowing who's on other teams as well. It's
Yep.
what does it mean that Arizona's the best team in the country? I don't know who the hell is on their roster anymore. It just, yeah, for me, seeing guys, AJ Storr going 4 schools in 4 years, I hate it. I just, that to me is just, not what the spirit of college basketball was about. College basketball is such a beautiful thing. I'm not opposed to the guys making money. I think my solution is restricting the freedom of movement a little bit, having some guardrails on the freedom of movement, and then I think that would solve a lot of issues. I loved the redshirt rule back in the day. I know that's not going to come back, but I love the redshirt rule. That served a lot of guys really, really well to sit out a year in their development. And I wish if they would bring that back, that would solve things a lot. That would solve a lot of the tampering, because you would have to pay a guy the year he sat out and the year he returned, and no kid in today's world can accept delayed gratification. It's got to be now, 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 now. Oh, there's some adversity. Oh, coach was hard on me. I'm gonna hit the portal. So I think that's another aspect. Is I really enjoyed college basketball and kids would stick around, and the Frank Kaminsky's of the world just won't exist anymore, because the modern day Frank would throw a little fit and be like, "Oh, Coach Ryan's hard on me. He doesn't like me," and then I'll just dip on out of there. So yeah, everything's instant gratification. There's no more delayed gratification, and just the world in general. But you see it especially with this freedom of movement and NIL world in college basketball. And also, I want to point out with Mast, talking about his age a little bit, he was a freshman in 2019-20, and that was before NIL. So Mast is one of the few players in college basketball that was around before NIL became a thing. But yeah, Mike, you got anything else you want to discuss, or should we wrap this thing up?
Nah, I'm pretty good, man. I think we can wrap this one up, and we got a few days, so we can get something else in between. We can have another episode after this, because I think their next game is like a week from now, right?
Okay. Oh yeah, I don't know. I'll have to take a look, but yeah, and I'll throw this out. Don't think the season is over. I'm not going to get caught in the moment. Yeah, it's one game. It was a terrible performance, terrible effort, and Nebraska played really, really well. But it's a long season. Wisconsin does have some quality pieces, and the pieces just need to mesh more. And there's going to be a lot of room for improvement moving forward.
Biggest thing, always improving.
Yeah. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Brew with Matt and Mike. Thank you for making it to the end of the episode, and we will see you soon.